Ostoria, a name that still carries the weight of legend, though its halls now crumble and its great cities rest beneath ice and stone. Listen well, for this is no mere tale of kings and wars, but of giants, lords of an age when the world was yet young, when the very bones of Faerun were shaped by hands mighty enough to bend mountains to their will. In the mist-laden past, before even the elves wove their first spells, and men were but whispers on the wind, the All-Father Anam cast his gaze upon the world and declared it fit for his sons. And so Ostoria was born, a kingdom vast beyond reckoning, stretching from the sunlit shores of the Villon Reach to the frozen expanse now cloaked by the great glacier, from the rugged savage frontier to the distant cold lands. It was a realm of titans and storm lords, of artistry and ambition, forged in the name of the gods themselves. But when did it begin, you ask? Therein lies the debate. Some say before the Tearfall, when the heavens wept fire and the world was reshaped in chaos. Others claim Anam founded it in the wake of that great calamity as a gift to his sons upon their coming of age. Regardless of the hour of its birth, Ostoria rose as a beacon of giantkind's glory, and each of Anam's favored sons took their place within its vast dominion. Vilmos, Lord of Storms, claimed the seas and lakes, where great fortresses defied the raging waves. Nicias, Master of the Skies, shaped castles among the clouds, ethereal and grand. Rook, Shaper of Hills, built mighty stones to stand eternal against time. Ottar, cold as the tundras he ruled, forged a legacy of frost and might. Masud, born of fire, tamed the volcanoes, crafting cities from living flame and adamantine. Obadiah, keeper of the depths, carved halls of stone beneath the world itself. And Lanaxis, firstborn of Anam, ruled the Golden Plains, where Vonenheim, Ostoria's capital, stood proud and peerless. And so the giants flourished, not merely warriors or conquerors, but artisans and builders of wonders untold. The hill giants raised circles of stone that spoke of time's passage and the hunt's fate. The fire giants shaped cities of Mithral and adamantine. The stone giants delved labyrinths beneath mountains, and the storm giants built towers that touched the sky itself. It was an age of greatness, of power, of civilization carved upon the land by those who deemed themselves its rightful lords. But even the mightiest empires falter, and even the greatest of gods turn their gaze elsewhere. Ostoria's tale does not end here, but for now, let us marvel at what once was, the kingdom of giants, the legacy of Anam, and the dreams of those who sought to shape the world in their own image. Loreberry, can you tell me, old chap, what you know of the giants and Ostoria?
In an age before human and elf, when all dragons were young, Anam the All-Father put the first giants upon the world. These giants were reflections of this divine offspring, and also children of the world, birthed from the marrow of mountains, the hot blood of volcanoes, and the breath of hurricanes. Anam conceived the giants to be masters of the world. He had them made at a great height so they would look down on all they ruled. He created a hierarchy for his children, the ordning, so that all would know their status with respect to one another, and would know who among them stood nearest to the knee of the All-Father. United in purpose, Anam's children built Ostoria, the fabled empire of the giants, where they lived according to the ordning. Storm giants ruled all from both below and above. They held sway over the oceans from undersea fortresses and lorded over the land from castles in the sky. Cloud giants built immense floating cities and served the storm giants as their strong right hands. Stone giants and fire giants settled on mountaintops and in the sprawling caverns beneath them, where they carved and forged the greatest works of giant art and craft. Frost giants defended Astoria with the might of their arms, not just on the chilly peaks and glaciers, but on every frontier. Hill giants sprawled over all other lands, subjugating lesser creatures through brute force. All told, the Empire of Astoria dominated the world for 4 millennia before its decline began in a genocidal struggle against the dragons that came to be known as the 1,000-Year War. Dragons had lived in and around Astoria in a relative peace since the Empire's foundation. Conflicts between dragons and giants in those days were personal, not tribal or regional, and usually involved bragging rights or hunting territory. Differences were settled by individual contests of might, wits, or skill. That situation persisted for generations, until the red dragon Garrix inflamed the greed and envy in its followers by rolling against the giants' prosperity, and they rose up in response. At least that's what most giants believed to have happened. No one really knows any longer what set off the war. But once battle began, the long-standing peace between giants and dragons crumbled everywhere. Foes tore at each other's throats in all parts of Astoria. There were no front lines or safe havens, only endless ambushes, sieges, and atrocities committed against giants and dragons alike. Eventually, none were left alive on either side who had seen the war's beginning. Age and brutality had claimed them all, and the few giants and dragons then alive had spent their entire existence at war. The 1,000-Year War didn't truly end so much as it wasted away through attrition and exhaustion. The realm that could still be called Astoria survived only far in the north. A few outposts and fragment kingdoms, such as the fire giants Heligheim and the stone giants Niederheim, clung to life in deep caverns and hidden valleys. In the millennia that followed, even these places fell, and what remained of Astorian territory became barren, shrouded in ice as thick as mountains. Since that time, many lesser races have attained greatness and themselves fallen into obscurity. Few hints of the giants' once great empire have survived the relentless accumulation of years. But the giants remember. Their empire and their unified purpose are long gone. But a yearning for a return to the greatness that was once theirs burns in all their memories. When Astoria fell, Anam disowned his children, swearing never to regard the giants again until they returned Astoria to its past prominence and reclaimed their rightful positions as rulers of the world. Giants, therefore, don't pray to Anam, who refuses to hear them. Instead, they revere his divine children. Chief among the giant gods are 6 sons of Anam: Stronmaus, champion of the storm giants; Memnor, patron of the cloud giants; Surtur, who the fire giants worship; Thrym, who the frost giants revere; Scoraeus Stonebones for the stone giants; and Grolantor, who the hill giants plunder and consume to excess to impress. Although each of Anam's sons is typically worshipped by giants of a particular type, they, like Anam himself, aren't radically distinct. The language that the giants share is one of the few remnants from their once grand empire. Over time, it has fragmented into many dialects, and each type can generally understand one another. 2 words have great significance in the giant language. Mot is the term giants use to describe ideas, behaviors, creatures, and objects that they consider good, holy, honorable, or desirable. Mog is the counterpart term, embodying what other languages call evil, unholy, dishonorable, or undesirable. Giants are not thought of as Mot or Mog, but by their standing within the ordning. When it comes to magic, giants have a paradoxical relationship with magic. The most outwardly magical are the cloud giants, followed closely by the storm giants. Both giant types have an innate ability to use some form of magic related to air, weather, and gravity. Very few giants, however, study magic in the way that humans, dwarves, and elves do. Arcane scholarship by itself isn't acknowledged by the Ordning. It isn't Mog, but it isn't Mott either. Mastering the secrets of magic, though, demands a degree of devotion that would take giants away from pursuits that are valued by the Ordning. As a consequence, it's a path rarely taken. The exception is rune magic. Giants are drawn to the solidity and permanence of magical runes. Stone giants are great practitioners of rune carving, both because of the artistry it demands and because their environment is perfect for its use. At least a few skilled graver, known as rune cutters, can be found among any type of giant, even the slow-witted hill giants who stomp enormous marks into hillsides or gouge them into their own flesh. Crafting this form of magic is painstakingly slow. Imagine a wizard who crafts a scroll and who eschews the convenience of parchment and ink in favor of stone and chisel, glacier and axe, or iron and forge. A force allied with giants, or worse, a force made up of giants, is one of the most fearsome opponents on the battlefield. The giants can rain boulders onto an enemy from a distance, where only skilled archers, heavy siege weapons, or spellcasters can strike back at them. At first blush, it might seem that a potent wizard would make the best giant killer. But few spellcasters can stand up to a giant in direct confrontation. One might do harm to a giant, but odds are it will survive the 1 or 2 spells that can be thrown at it before a well-placed boulder or the swing of an enormous club quashes the threat. Among those with experience fighting giants, dwarves have developed the most effective tactics. To defeat a giant, they rely on prolonged tactics. They also rely on prolonged, accurate massed archery, fast-moving cavalry that can force the giant into a disadvantageous position, or fanatical troops armed with polearms, ropes, and grappling hooks. If a giant can be tripped or pulled down, preferably onto its belly, so it's less able to defend itself, then it can be entangled in nets and cables and disabled by concentrated attacks on its head and neck. On the other side of the field, giants understand that smaller foes will try to target their legs and lower bodies. Thus, when they head into a fight against human-sized opponents, they don thick boots, greaves, armored codpieces, and wide, heavy hide or metal belts to protect their bellies. Even savage hill giants peel thick bark from trees and strap it around their legs and dangle logs or stones from their belts to make the going more perilous for an enemy that tries to get underfoot. The various giant races embody differing cultures, strengths, and weaknesses that make them both an interesting study piece, and also this information may save you if you come face to face with one. Cloud giants are aptly named, or at least were at one time. Few of them live literally on clouds anymore, but most do reside atop high mountains, inside or even above a near-perpetual cloud layer. A select few, those at the apex of the clan's ordning, claim the last of the ancient cloud castles that still drift across the sky. No one can build those majestic structures any longer. The methods of their construction were lost, along with much other knowledge when Astoria fell. Some cloud giants believe the information might yet be buried in some long-forgotten ruined library. Rumors of its existence crop up from time to time, stirring debate and dreams of resurgent glory among the cloud giants. But definite information has proven impossible to obtain. Many cloud giants think that someday a hero will unearth this ancient secret. Until then, they must be satisfied with watching clouds drift past their mountaintop homes instead of living atop those clouds, as in the days of yore. The fire giants were the officers, engineers, and crafters of ancient Astoria. Their position and unparalleled skill, along with their domineering outlook, make them haughty and arrogant. Fire giants are the greatest smiths, architects, and technicians among giant kind. The iron-lined halls of a fire giant stronghold, deep inside a mountain or a volcano, support the unimaginable weight of the stone above them and enable the giants to harness the heat of river, of magma, to power their forges. A fire giant's prowess in the occupations of crafting determines its place in the ordning. Although fire giants put stock in combat skill, they recognize that success in battle or on the hunt derives mainly from the quality of one's weapons and armor, and those that can fashion the finest gear enjoy the highest status in the clan. Frost giants dwell in the remote, frozen places of the world. Anything warmer than the flesh of a recently killed elk is as flame to them. As a sailor fears the howl of the wind heralding a storm, the denizens of ice-capped mountains and northern steppes shudder at the war horns that presage the arrival of Thurim's blue-skinned, icy children. Position within the frost giant ordning is determined by sheer brute strength. Frost giants know that those who use cunning, agility, and magic are dangerous foes and can sometimes overcome pure strength, but never in a straightforward, fair manner. Enemies that act that way are Mog, and strength alone is Mot. To show proof of their superiority, frost giants keep and display trophies of their victims. Mammoth tusks, griffin beaks, and manticore tails adorn the walls of frost giant lairs. Hill giants live to eat. Anyone who understands this one fact about them knows everything there is to know. Hill giants are the weakest of the true giants. They have the shortest stature, the smallest brains, and the least ambition. The only area in which they excel is girth. Since eating is the only thing hill giants care about, a tribe is always led by the fattest, heaviest member, the most successful, and thus the most admired one in the group. The qualities that other creatures expect or demand of their leaders, such as intellect, decision-making ability, and personal magnetism, have no importance to hill giants. They are neither recognized nor rewarded, except to the extent that a hill giant with slightly above average smarts might use trickery or intimidation to grab more food than its neighbors. Stone giants, reclusive, reflective, and inscrutable, take pains to remain apart from the world of sunlight and sky. Only when they are surrounded by stone do they consider themselves to be in reality. A world of all-encompassing stone is a realm of permanence and solidity, one where a lifetime of laborious carving can last through countless eons. The surface world, with its shifting light, endless sky, changing climate, and eroding wind, represents a dream state, an unreality where nothing lasts and therefore nothing has significance. Among stone giants, mastery of an art ranks as the greatest virtue, and among all the arts, carving is held in highest regard. Most stone giants spend their lives in unending pursuit of the perfect artistic creation. The best carvers are honored as the leaders and shamans of the tribe, and their hands are seen as holy, literally becoming the hands of scoriaeous stone bones as they work. Storm giants, the most powerful and majestic of giant kind, are also the most aloof and the least understood. They aren't just foes of nature, they are bound to nature and are extensions of it in mystical ways that humanoids find hard to comprehend. Each storm giant knows its status in the ordning by the signals the universe sends them. Omens might be seen in the wheeling flight of a flock of birds, the patterns in sand left by a receding tide, the shapes of clouds, or any other natural phenomena. Ever since Ostoria fell and Annam abandoned his children, no Soul King or Emperor has ruled over giant kind. According to legend, the arrival of such a leader will be presaged by signs and omens in all the elements of the world, the sky, the sea, the continents, and the underworld. Once they are old enough to fend for themselves, storm giants spend most of their lives in contemplative isolation. storm giants use elemental crossings for their own transplanar wanderings, especially into the elemental plane of air and the elemental plane of water. When these giants do interact with non-giants, those on the receiving end of their attention might question the notion that storm giants are good creatures. They respect the principle of the sanctity of life, but even the calmest of storm giants has a tremendous temper if broken, and once started, they are impossible to stop. A flickering fire casts long shadows as Elminster folds his hands, his voice taking on a thoughtful tone.
And so the giants pass into legend, their mighty works lost to time, their empires buried beneath ice and stone. Yet, though their kingdoms crumble, their legacy endures, not merely in the ruins they left behind, but in the lessons they impart. From the storm giants we learn wisdom, how to read the ebb and flow of fate, how to rule with foresight, to see beyond mere mortal squabbles to the grand design of the cosmos. From the cloud giants we learn ambition, to reach ever higher, to build dreams upon the sky, to carve wonder from the winds themselves. The fire giants teach us discipline, the art of forging strength through toil and patience. The stone giants whisper of endurance, the will to shape the world with steady hands, to endure against all trials as the mountains endure against the storm. The frost giants speak of resilience, of the unyielding nature of ice, and the brutal necessity of survival. The hill giants are, even in their simplicity, remind us of the bond between earth and flesh, the primal force that grounds all creatures great and small. And what of the Titans, the firstborn of Annam? They are reminders of ambition untempered by humility, of might without restraint. A lesson, perhaps, that even the greatest of beings must temper their strength with wisdom, lest they fall as Ostoria fell. So what do giants teach us? That power is nothing without purpose, that strength must be guided by wisdom, that even the mightiest hands must shape the world with care, lest all be turned to ruin. Their kingdoms may be lost, but their stories remain, waiting to be heard by those wise enough to listen. But that, my friend, is a tale for another time.